The stars shone bright above Luna City as Ambassador Daniel Wright walked through the main square. Children laughed and played near the fountain, their joy echoing off the glass dome that protected them from the moon's harsh surface. Daniel smiled, watching them. His daughter Emma should be here by now with the other kids for the big celebration. For 7,000 years, humans had lived in peace under the Galactic Empire. They had spread across many star systems, building colonies and cities on distant worlds. The Empire kept everyone safe. War was something only the history books talked about. Daniel had never seen a weapon in his entire life. "Dad?" Emma's voice called through his communicator. She sounded worried. "Yes, sweetheart, where are you? The celebration starts in an hour." "I'm at the embassy. Something strange is happening. Some of my friends are missing. They were supposed to come with me, but their parents can't find them." Daniel felt a cold chill despite the warm air. Missing children? That didn't happen in Luna City. The Empire's security systems watched everything. No one could just disappear. He rushed to the embassy building, its white walls gleaming in the artificial sunlight. Inside, Admiral Lisa Carter stood with Director Stephen Blake and several worried parents. The room buzzed with anxious voices. "Daniel," Admiral Carter said as he entered, "we have a situation. 12 children from various colonies are missing. They all disappeared at the same time exactly 3 hours ago." "That's impossible," Daniel replied. "The Empire's tracking systems—" "The systems show nothing," Director Blake interrupted. "No anomalies, no warnings. It's like they simply ceased to exist at the exact same moment." A mother began to cry. Daniel recognized her as Dr. Rachel Moore, the famous scientist who worked on quantum physics. "My boy is gone," she sobbed. "He was in his room doing homework. I went to get him a snack, and when I came back," Emma grabbed her father's hand. "Dad, what's happening?" "I don't know, sweetheart, but we'll figure it out." Admiral Carter began organizing the response. She sent messages to the Galactic Council, requesting immediate assistance. The Empire had always helped when problems arose. This time felt different. Days passed without answers. The Empire's officials responded slowly. They sent investigators who asked strange questions. One officer even suggested the children might have run away to join educational programs on other worlds. "Nonsense," Daniel argued during a meeting with the Imperial representatives. "These are good families. The children had no reason to run away." The Imperial officer smiled coldly. "Ambassador Wright, sometimes children desire more than their homeworlds can offer. The Empire provides opportunities for growth. Perhaps these young ones sought such opportunities." That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. Emma stayed close to him, afraid more children might disappear. He called other human leaders on different colonies. The situation was worse than he thought. Children had vanished from 5 other human settlements at the exact same time. 2 weeks after the disappearances, Emma came to Daniel with news. "Dad, I got a message. It's from my friend Peter at the Frontier Colony." "Peter Wilson? The boy who disappeared?" "Yes." Emma's voice shook. "He managed to send a short transmission. It was coded, using our secret language we invented in school." "What did he say?" "He's scared. They're not with the Empire, they're being tested. Things are being done to them." He begged for help. Daniel felt anger rising in his chest, a feeling he'd never experienced before. The Empire had always protected them, cared for them. He realized the cold truth. They had lied. Admiral Carter gathered all human leaders for an emergency meeting. She placed Peter's decoded message on the table. "The children are at an Imperial facility on Kepler 452b. Our intelligence agents have confirmed they're being subjected to neural scans and genetic modifications." "Why?" someone asked. "The Empire claims they're creating better citizens, making them optimal for future service." Director Blake stood up. "We've been peaceful for 7,000 years because we trusted the Empire. We gave them everything they asked for. They took our children without permission, without telling us." The room fell silent. In thousands of years, no one had questioned the Empire's actions. Now, doubt crept into every heart. "What do we do?" Daniel asked. "We demand their return. Admiral Carter said firmly. Every single child must come home. The negotiations began immediately. Human diplomats contacted the Galactic Council, demanding answers and action. The Empire responded with bureaucratic delays and vague promises. The children are safe, they claimed. They're receiving advanced education that will benefit all of humanity. We don't want this education, Daniel insisted during one heated meeting. We want our children back. Time crawled by. More messages came from the missing children, each more desperate than the last. The Empire continued making excuses. 3 months after the disappearances, President Alan Morgan addressed all human colonies. Standing behind his podium, his face showed the weight of countless sleepless nights. My fellow humans, he began. For millennia, we have lived in peace. We trusted those who claimed to protect us. That trust has been broken. He paused, letting his words sink in. The Empire has taken our children. They experiment on them without our consent. They refuse to return them. They claim this is for our benefit. We know better. President Morgan's voice grew stronger. Our ancestors fought for freedom. They built these colonies with their own hands. Now we too must fight, not with weapons we don't have, but with the strength of our unity. We formally declare that humanity will no longer accept the Empire's authority over our lives. We demand the immediate release of all our children. If they refuse, he stopped, choosing his words carefully. Then we will remind them what humans are capable of when pushed too far. That night, as Luna City's lights dimmed for the sleep cycle, Emma asked her father, "Will we get them back?" Daniel looked at his daughter, seeing determination in her young eyes. "Yes, Emma. One way or another, we will bring them home." In the deep space beyond human colonies, massive construction projects that had been secret for generations began to activate. Humanity had prepared for this day in ways even the Empire could not imagine. They had hoped never to use these preparations, but now the time had come. The Golden Age was ending. 7,000 years of peace shattered like glass. But in that shattering, humanity would rediscover something precious they had almost forgotten, the strength that comes from fighting for what matters most. Far away at the Imperial facility, Emma's friend Peter huddled with other human children, sharing what little hope they had left. Above them, automatic systems continued their work, unaware that across the galaxy, their parents were preparing to move heaven and earth to save them. 6 months had passed since the children disappeared, and the Imperial government still played games with human lives. Diplomats talked and talked but did nothing. Ambassador Daniel Wright sat in his office, reading reports that made his blood run cold. Dr. Rachel Moore worked day and night in her lab, analyzing every piece of data her contacts could smuggle from the Imperial facility. She called Admiral Lisa Carter at 3 in the morning. "I found something terrible," Rachel said, her voice shaking. "The children are being changed. Neural pathways are being rewired. Their genetic code is being altered. They want to make them into something else." "Into what?" Lisa asked, already knowing the answer. "Perfect Imperial citizens, designed to serve, without question, to never rebel, to never think for themselves." Meanwhile, James Parker operated deep in Imperial space. As a traitor, he moved freely between worlds, but his true mission was gathering information. He bribed a guard at the Kepler 452b facility and snuck inside. What he saw there would haunt him forever. Children strapped to machines, their eyes vacant as doctors worked on them. Some cried out in pain, others didn't move at all. James recognized several faces from the missing persons reports. They looked older now, their bodies changed by the experiments. He managed to record everything with a hidden camera and escaped. The footage reached Earth 2 weeks later. President Alan Morgan watched it alone in his office. When it ended, he destroyed his desk with his bare hands. One day, Emma Wright received a transmission that changed everything. It came coded through channels only children used to play games. The message said, "Emma, it's Peter. They don't watch us all the time. We found a way to talk. They heard us." Tom lost his voice. "Sarah can't move her legs anymore. Please help. They want to make us forget who we are." I'm trying to remember. Please, remember me. Emma ran to her father with tears streaming down her face. Daniel read the message and immediately called Admiral Carter. That night, human leadership gathered for an emergency meeting. We can't wait anymore, Admiral Carter said. Every day they suffer. Every day they lose pieces of themselves. Director Stephen Blake placed a secure data chip on the table. I've activated our defense networks, the ones our ancestors built in secret after the first contact wars thousands of years ago. They're fully operational now. Everyone stared at him. Most humans didn't know such weapons existed. We also have ships, Blake continued. Hidden shipyards beyond the edge of the solar system. Not many, but enough to start with. They're designed to be fast and hard to detect. You're talking about war, Daniel whispered. I'm talking about rescue, Blake corrected. The Empire won't let our children go peacefully. We've tried everything else. President Morgan stood up. The choice is clear. We either act now or lose our children forever. I won't make this decision alone. Every human colony will vote. The vote took 3 days. Parents agonized over the choice. War meant death. War meant destroying 7,000 years of peace. But doing nothing meant watching their children become strangers. Their minds and bodies twisted to serve the Empire. Every colony voted the same way. Rescue the children. 2 weeks later, President Morgan addressed humanity once more. The transmission reached every human settlement across the galaxy. People of Earth and all human colonies, I stand before you tonight with a heavy heart. For 6 months, we have tried peaceful means to save our children. We offered anything the Empire wanted. We begged. We pleaded. They continued their experiments. He paused, looking directly into the camera. Therefore, I declare that humanity withdraws from the Galactic Empire effective immediately. We demand the release of all human children within 48 hours. If this demand is not met, we will consider it an act of war. The Imperial response came within hours. 5 massive warships appeared in Earth's solar system. Their shields glowed with power that could destroy a planet. A message arrived with them. Submit immediately. Return to Imperial authority. The children will be returned when their education is complete. Resistance will be met with total destruction. Admiral Carter activated the defense network. Huge stations hidden throughout the solar system powered up for the first time in millennia. Their weapons were different from anything the Empire had seen. Small, precise, devastating. The first Imperial ship moved toward Earth. Its shields would normally stop any attack. But when 200 defense station beams hit it at once, focusing on a single point, the shield failed. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash. The other Imperial ships retreated in confusion. They had grown soft during thousands of years of peace. They had forgotten how to fight an enemy that fought back. Captain Nathan Brooks received his orders immediately. He commanded the newly revealed UES Sovereign, one of Earth's secret warships. Unlike the massive Imperial vessels, the Sovereign was small and fast, designed for hit-and-run tactics. Set course for the Kalos system, Brooks ordered. Intel says they have supply depots there. We're going to teach them what happens when you take our children. The Sovereign slipped past Imperial patrols using stealth technology the Empire didn't know existed. It struck quickly, destroying 3 supply ships before disappearing into deep space. Other human ships followed similar tactics across the galaxy. Tau Ceti III, resistance cells led by Karen Mitchell, began sabotage operations. These cells had been recruiting quietly for decades, preparing for a day they hoped would never come. Now they struck Imperial communication relays, supply routes, and security posts. Dr. Richard Fox worked with a team of scientists to develop new weapons. They couldn't match the Empire's raw power, but they could create weapons that exploited weaknesses. Micro-torpedoes that slipped through shield gaps. Cyber attacks that confused targeting systems. Sonic weapons that disrupted Imperial electronics. 4 weeks into the conflict, the Empire shifted tactics. They couldn't find human military targets easily, so they went after civilian colonies. News came that Imperial forces had surrounded New Hope Colony. They demand we surrender all our defense plans, the colony administrator reported. If we refuse, they'll begin bombardment. Admiral Carter faced her hardest decision. Send in the defensive fleet, save as many as we can, and activate Protocol Prometheus. Protocol Prometheus meant humanity would build more weapons, faster than ever before. Every adult not caring for children joined the effort. Factories that once made peaceful goods now produced ships, weapons, and armor. Emma Wright, now 12 years old, begged to join the Youth Defense Corps. I want to fight. I want to save Peter and the others. Your time will come, her father said gently. For now, we need you to stay safe and remember who you are. That's what Peter asked. But Emma had already made up her mind. She began training. In secret, learning everything she could about fighting and tactics. Many other children did the same. They wouldn't wait forever. 6 months of war had taught humanity a painful lesson. Peace without strength was just weakness in disguise. They had trusted blindly for 7,000 years. Now they understood that true peace required the ability to defend what you loved. In the darkness of space, human ships hunted Imperial patrols. On colonized worlds, resistance fighters struck at Imperial control. In secret labs, scientists pushed technology beyond its limits, and in an Imperial facility light years away, human children fought their own battle. They supported each other, sharing strength when one grew weak. They whispered stories of Earth to remember their home. They planned and plotted, waiting for rescue. Peter Wilson carved marks into his cell wall, counting days. Beside him, Sarah Morgan encouraged others who had given up hope. My dad's the president, she reminded them. He'll come for us. They all will. We just have to hold on. The breaking point had passed. Humanity was no longer asking for peace. They were demanding justice. And they would get it, no matter the cost. Space battles raged across multiple star systems as humanity proved they could fight. The Galactic Empire had not expected resistance. For thousands of years, they had grown used to everyone following their commands. Now they faced an angry enemy who wanted only one thing: their children back. Captain Nathan Brooks stood on the bridge of the UES Sovereign. Alarms blared as 3 Imperial ships detected them near the Ramos Nebula. The ships were 5 times bigger than the Sovereign, their hulls covered in powerful shields and massive weapons. Engineering, give me everything you've got, Brooks ordered. Navigation, plot a course through the asteroid field. Make them follow us in there. The Imperial ships fired their main guns. Blue energy bolts tore through space where the Sovereign had been seconds earlier. Brooks smiled. The Empire still fought like they had all day to aim. Humans had learned to move fast. Inside the asteroid field, the Sovereign used its small size to dart between rocks. The Imperial ships tried to follow, but couldn't turn quickly enough. 2 of them scraped against asteroids, their shields flaring bright. Target their engines, Brooks commanded. All weapons fire! The Sovereign's guns were smaller but could fire rapidly. Beam after beam hit the same spot on the nearest Imperial ship. The shield held for several seconds, then failed. Explosions ripped through the engines. One down, Brooks said. Let's get the others. Meanwhile, resistance cells across human space worked quietly but effectively. Karen Mitchell led a group on Tau Ceti III. They had waited years for this moment, pretending to be loyal citizens while preparing for rebellion. Remember, Karen told her team before each mission, we're not terrorists. We're rescuers. Hit military, targets only. Don't give them reasons to hurt civilians. Her team struck at night, slipping past Imperial security with stolen access codes. They planted explosives in weapons storage facilities and hacked communication networks. Each successful mission made the Empire more paranoid, more likely to make mistakes. On Earth, Dr. Richard Fox unveiled his latest creation. The new weapon looked simple, a small cylinder that could be held in one hand. But inside it packed enough power to disrupt shields at close range. We call it the Equalizer, Fox explained to Admiral Carter and President Morgan. Imperial shields block our conventional weapons, but at point-blank range, this creates a feedback loop that overloads their generators. Point-blank range means suicide, Admiral Carter noted. Not necessarily, Fox replied. Our pilots have developed new tactics. They call it shield dancing, getting close enough to use the equalizer, then breaking away before the enemy can react. The new tactic proved devastating. Human fighters, small and fast, would swarm larger Imperial ships. They couldn't hurt. The shields from far away, but up close with the equalizer, they became deadly. However, the Empire adapted too. Imperial Admiral Korath, commanding their war fleet, changed his approach. "If we can't crush them in space, we'll take their worlds," he declared. The attack on New Calgary Colony came without warning. 30 Imperial ships dropped from hyperspace, weapons charged. The colony's defense platforms fought bravely but were overwhelmed. As the bombardment began, desperate messages filled the airwaves. "This is New Calgary. We need help. They're targeting our cities." Admiral Carter was at Earth when the message arrived. Every ship in the area raced toward New Calgary, but they knew they would arrive too late. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, New Calgary was a graveyard. The attack hardened human resolve. President Morgan addressed the colonies once more. "The Empire seeks to break our spirit by attacking the helpless. They believe if they hurt us enough, we will surrender. They are wrong. Every life lost makes our determination stronger. We fight not just for our captured children now, but for every human who refuses to live under tyranny." Emma Wright watched the speech with other children on Luna City. At 13, she had grown taller and stronger from secret training. Many children her age felt the same restlessness. "We should be helping," Emma said to her friends. "We should be fighting," her father overheard. "You help by staying safe, by being something worth fighting for. Peter and the others are fighting," Emma replied. "They're resisting every day in those prisons. We should do the same." The war entered its second year with neither side winning clearly. Human forces excelled at hit-and-run tactics, but the Empire had more ships and could replace losses easier. On the other hand, every Imperial loss hurt them more. They had forgotten how to fight real wars. A breakthrough came from Dr. Richard Fox again. He discovered that Imperial shield technology had a critical flaw. It couldn't handle rapidly changing frequencies. Working with captured shield emitters, Fox's team developed a weapon that could pierce shields without being close. The variable frequency cannon, Fox named it. It cycles through millions of frequencies per second until it finds one the shield can't block. The first test came when Captain Brooks faced 5 Imperial corvettes near the Libra system. The Sovereign's new cannon glowed blue as it fired. The beam looked strange, flickering with rainbow colors as it changed frequencies. It struck the lead corvette directly on its shield generator. The shield didn't just fail, it exploded, taking half the ship with it. "It works," Brooks reported back. "We can hurt them now." Production of the VF cannon began immediately. Human ships received the upgrades as fast as possible. The tide of space combat began to shift slowly but surely. Still, the Empire held their biggest advantage. They had the children. Imperial Admiral Korath sent a message to Earth. "For every Imperial ship you destroy, we will use enhanced interrogation on 10 human children. For every colonial attack, we will accelerate our modification programs. Continue fighting, and you will save empty bodies with no minds." The threat hit humanity like a physical blow. Admiral Carter called for a war council. The mood was dark as leaders debated their options. "If we stop fighting, they keep our children," General Matthew Ross said. "If we continue, they might damage them beyond repair." "We knew this might happen," Karen Mitchell reported via secure channel. "My resistance cells have been working on plans to infiltrate the detention facilities. We think we've found a weakness." "Explain." President Morgan leaned forward. "The facilities are heavily guarded from outside attack. But the Empire uses human staff for non-critical roles. We've been recruiting them for years. Some are ready to help from inside." "A rescue mission?" Admiral Carter asked. "Better. Liberation. The children have been preparing too. They've organized themselves. They just need our signal." The decision required careful thought. A failed rescue could doom the children forever, but success might end the war. Emma Wright overheard adults talking about secret plans. She gathered children she trusted and formed their own group. If they plan to rescue Peter and the others, we should be ready to help, she told them. Over the following weeks, human forces continued their attacks while secretly preparing for the rescue mission. Ships moved into position. Resistance cells acquired supplies and weapons. The children in Imperial facilities received coded messages to prepare. The breaking point approached again. This time, instead of shattering peace, humanity would shatter prison walls. Every ship, every soldier, every civilian focused on one goal: bring the children home. On the Sovereign, Captain Brooks checked his weapons one more time. The modified VF cannon hummed with power. His crew was ready. Across human space, others did the same. Peter Wilson sat in his cell, sharing what little food they had with other children. Sarah Morgan organized the network of hidden messages between different sections of the facility. Neither knew precisely when help would come, but they felt change in the air. After months of suffering, the Empire's grip was loosening. The first phase of war had tested both sides. Now came the decisive moment. Human children would need to be brave just a little longer. Their parents were coming, and nothing would stop them this time. The day of the rescue mission arrived like thunder. At precisely 03 War Galaxy Standard Time, human forces struck Imperial positions across known space. It was a calculated distraction. Make the Empire think humanity was launching a massive offensive everywhere while the real mission proceeded in secret. Lieutenant Sarah Morgan led Strike Team Alpha through the maintenance corridors of the Kepler 452b facility. She had trained for this moment since learning about the captured children. Her team moved silently, wearing special suits that blocked Imperial scanners. "Breach point in 60 seconds, Sarah whispered into her comm. Her heart pounded. Her team had reviewed the facility's layout 100 times, but nothing prepared them for the real thing. Meanwhile, Peter Wilson felt something change. The guards seemed distracted, constantly checking their communicators. He caught Sarah's eye, the other Sarah, the young girl who had become their leader inside. She nodded slightly. They knew to be ready. "All children to assembly positions," Sarah the girl whispered to others. "Pass it down. Remember what we practiced." For months, the imprisoned children had prepared. They had memorized guard schedules, learned the facility's security systems, and practiced moving as one group. Today, all that preparation would matter. Sarah Morgan's team reached the first checkpoint. 2 guards stood at the entrance. Before they could react, her team's stun weapons dropped them silently to the floor. No killing unless absolutely necessary. Those were the orders. "Go, go, go," Sarah commanded. The team rushed inside, finding exactly what the plans had shown: rows of cells containing human children. But nothing prepared them for the actual sight. Some children looked younger than their records indicated. Others seemed older, their eyes holding knowledge no child should have. "Open all cells," Sarah ordered. "We have 14 minutes before their backup systems activate." Cell doors hissed open. Children poured out, many crying with relief. Some couldn't walk well. The medical experiments had left them weak. Team members lifted the smallest ones. "Where's Peter Wilson?" Sarah asked. "Here." A boy about 12 stepped forward. "I can help, I know this place." "Good. Guide us to the exit route. We have transport waiting." In space above the planet, Captain Nathan Brooks commanded a fleet of 20 human ships. Their job was simple but crucial: create enough chaos to cover the rescue team's escape. "Imperial reinforcements arriving," his weapons officer reported. 3 battlecruisers, launch fighters," Brooks ordered. "Remember the shield dancing tactics. Stay close, use the equalizers, then break contact." Human fighters swarmed the larger ships. Up close, where Imperial weapons couldn't track fast enough, the small craft were nearly untouchable. Blue flashes marked where human weapons disrupted shields at point-blank range. Back on the surface, Sarah Morgan's team faced their first real obstacle. A door marked restricted access blocked their path. The facility's alarm suddenly activated. Someone had discovered the escape. "Blow it," Sarah ordered. Her demolition expert placed charges while children pressed against the walls, covering their ears. The explosion shook the corridor. Through the smoke, armed Imperial guards appeared. These were well-trained soldiers, unlike the facility's regular staff. "Protect the children," Sarah commanded. Her team formed a defensive line. Weapons fire lit up the corridor. The special Kevlar armor they wore stopped the worst hits, but 2 team members went down. Peter Wilson saw something the adults missed. "There's another way," he said. "Through the ventilation system. We used it to pass messages." "Show us." Without hesitation, Peter led them to a grate. It was small. Adults would barely fit, but it opened to a maintenance shaft. The team helped children climb up while continuing to hold off guards. Sarah was the last to enter. As she climbed, she looked back at the corridor floor. Blood from wounded guards mixed with scorch marks from weapons fire. The price of rescue was higher than training simulations suggested. They emerged 3 levels up, near the facility's transport hub. Here, Karen Mitchell's resistance cells had done their job. Imperial vehicles sat ready, piloted by sympathetic humans who had worked undercover for years. "Load everyone," Sarah commanded. "Medical attention for anyone who needs it. Combat team, cover positions." As children climbed into vehicles, Sarah noticed something troubling. Not all the children looked relieved. Some seemed confused, even resistant. "What did they do to you?" she asked one girl gently. "They made us see things," the girl replied. "Made us think Earth abandoned us, that the Empire was our real family." Rage filled Sarah's heart. The Empire hadn't just imprisoned the children, they had tried to reprogram them. Some had resisted better than others. Peter Wilson helped load the most affected children. "They fought it every day," he told Sarah. "We told stories about Earth, sang old songs, reminded each other who we really are." The evacuation proceeded smoothly until Karen Mitchell's voice crackled through the comm. "Imperial response team incoming. You have 5 minutes before heavy. Resistance arrives." "Move faster," Sarah ordered. She turned to Peter. "You've done amazing work here. Ready to go home?" "More than ready." In orbit, Captain Brooks received confirmation. "Rescue teams have the packages requesting immediate pickup." "Roger that," Brooks replied. "Fleet, prepare to cover the extraction. Remember, those ships contain every child we've been fighting for." The Imperial fleet had regrouped. 5 battle cruisers now faced the human ships. Admiral Korath himself commanded from his flagship, the Dominator. "Destroy those transports," Korath ordered. "The experiment cannot be compromised." Human fighters formed a protective screen around the rising transport ships. The VF cannons on Brooks' larger vessels fired continuously, disrupting Imperial shields. But the enemy had adapted too. They had learned to rotate shield frequencies, making solid hits harder. One transport took damage, its port engine exploding. Children screamed as the ship listed. Captain Lisa Young, commanding the UES Bristol, positioned her ship directly between the damaged transport and Imperial fire. "This is Bristol. We're taking hits but holding position. Transport 7, make for hyperspace coordinates." The Bristol's armor cracked under repeated fire. Explosions rocked the ship. But Young held firm until the transport reached safety. Her ship barely escaped, trailing debris and atmosphere. Finally, all transports cleared the gravity well. Human ships followed, some badly damaged but all functional. The Imperial fleet pursued but stopped at the system's edge, unwilling to risk deeper combat in unknown space. Back on Earth, celebration mixed with medical urgency. The first transports landed at Luna City, where doctors and parents waited. Emma Wright stood with her father as the ships touched down. Peter Wilson was among the first to emerge. He had grown taller, thinner, but his smile was genuine. Behind him came other children, some walking confidently, others needing support. Parents screamed and cried, rushing forward to embrace their children. Emma searched the crowds for familiar faces. Some children she didn't recognize. The experiments had changed them physically. Dr. Rachel Moore examined the returning children immediately. What she found disturbed her greatly. Neural pathways had been altered in many cases. Some children had enhanced abilities, better memory, faster reflexes, but at the cost of other functions. It will take time to understand what was done, Rachel reported to Admiral Carter, and longer to decide if we can reverse it. Some children may never be completely the same. Despite the complications, the rescue stood as humanity's greatest victory in the war. Over 500 children returned from that facility alone. Intelligence suggested similar raids should follow against other Imperial prisons. The galactic balance shifted noticeably. The daring rescue proved humanity could strike at the Empire's heart and succeed. Word spread quickly. Other species that had suffered under Imperial rule began to pay attention. In the weeks following the rescue, amazing news arrived. Ambassador Patricia Lane, working through diplomatic channels, received a secret communication. The Kalari Coalition, a group of species that quietly opposed Imperial dominance, wanted to help. "They've been watching us," Lane reported to President Morgan. "Our tactics, our determination. They think we might actually win this war." The Kalari offered intelligence, safe harbors for human ships, and even military advisors. Their support shifted the war's dynamics instantly. No longer would humanity fight alone against the Empire's vast resources. Emma Wright watched Peter's recovery closely. He had grown harder during captivity, like many others. Sometimes he woke up screaming, reliving experiments in his dreams. But he also taught her things the Empire had inadvertently given him: increased mental focus, perfect memory recall of technical data. "Use these gifts against them," Peter told her. "Make their mistake our weapon." Sarah Morgan led successful raids on 2 more facilities, freeing hundreds more children. Each rescue refined human tactics. Each victory made the Empire more desperate. The war had truly turned. From being peaceful citizens suddenly thrown into conflict, humanity had become skilled warriors. The Empire finally understood what it had awakened: a species willing to risk everything for family. The sleeping giant had not just woken. It had learned to fight like nothing the galaxy had seen before. 3 years after the war began, the galaxy looked very different. Human ships patrolled systems they had once only traded in. Colonies that had cowered under Imperial rule now hosted human military bases. The Empire, which had ruled for millennia, faced defeat for the first time in its history. Admiral Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UES Defiance, as her fleet approached Nexus Prime. The Empire's capital planet glowed blue and white in the distance. Around it orbited massive defense stations, the most powerful in known space. "Admiral," Captain Brooks reported from the Sovereign, "Kalari intelligence confirms the main fleet is divided. Half protect the capital, half chase our decoy forces in the Orion sector." "Perfect," Carter replied. She turned to her crew. "Remember, this is not about revenge. This is about ending the war. Target military installations only." On Earth, Sarah Morgan prepared for her final mission. The Special Forces soldier had become the face of humanity's fight, leading rescue after rescue. Now she would lead ground forces against Nexus Prime itself. "We have one goal," Sarah told her team of volunteers. "Find the children who remain imprisoned. The Empire has hundreds still hidden in secure facilities." Peter Wilson, now 15 and taller, stepped forward. "I'm coming with you. I know how they think. I can help find where they're hiding the others." "You've done enough," Sarah replied gently. "I've done what I had to," Peter corrected. "Now I'll finish it." Peter had trained intensely since his rescue. The Imperial modifications had left him with abilities that made him valuable in combat. Perfect memory helped him recall facility layouts perfectly. Enhanced reflexes made him quick and precise. Meanwhile, Secret Agent Peter Wilson infiltrated the Imperial Command Center. Unlike young Peter, the older agent had worked undercover for years, rising through the ranks using falsified credentials. Today, all his patience would pay off. The agent positioned himself near the central communications hub. At precisely the right moment, he activated a virus designed by Dr. Richard Fox. The virus didn't destroy systems. Instead, it subtly delayed commands and confused sensor readings. As Carter's fleet engaged the orbital defenses, Enemy stations fired where her ships had been moments earlier. Confused commanders received conflicting reports about human ship positions. Their targeting is off, Brooks reported eagerly. The virus is working perfectly. Press the advantage, Carter ordered. All ships engage. Human ships swarmed around. The massive stations. VF cannons fired continuously, their rainbow beams piercing shields that had protected Nexus Prime for generations. Station after station fell silent, their guns destroyed by precision strikes. On the planet's surface, Sarah Morgan's transport ships descended under cover of orbital fire. They landed in the ancient sector of the capital, where intelligence placed Emperor Kethar's private detention facility. The streets erupted in chaos as ground troops fanned out. Imperial civilians ran for shelter while security forces attempted to organize defense. But humanity had learned urban warfare well. Sarah's teams moved like water, flowing around strong points and striking weak areas. Peter Wilson guided his team toward a building that looked ordinary but held secrets. There, he pointed. Children are underground, 3 levels down. The rescue team encountered heavy resistance at the building's entrance. Imperial guards fought with energy rifles, their shots creating thunderous explosions. Sarah's team used new tactics, throwing smoke screens that blocked Imperial technology, but allowed human thermal imaging to work perfectly. One by one, guards fell to stun weapons. Peter led the sprint to the elevator shaft. Faster, he urged. They'll start emergency protocols soon. Deep in the Imperial Command Center, Emperor Kethar watched his empire crumble. The ancient ruler had seen countless smaller conflicts, but never this. These humans fought with a fury he had never encountered. My emperor, his aide announced. The High Counselors request an immediate audience. When Kethar entered the council chamber, he found it empty except for one figure. Counselor Vexara stepped from the shadows. The war is lost, she said simply. I dare nothing, Vexara interrupted. I dare everything. The Empire is dying because we forgot what makes a civilization strong. We took children for our experiments. We believed might alone gave us the right to rule. What are you suggesting? I'm not suggesting. I'm declaring. A faction of counselors has already contacted the humans. We will remove you and end this war. In orbit, Carter received an unexpected message on a priority channel. This is Counselor Vexara of the Galactic Council. We wish to negotiate immediate surrender. Carter was suspicious. How do I know this isn't a trick? Because at this moment, Counselor Thane is transmitting coordinates of all facilities holding human children. Because my ships are standing down. Because we must save what we can. Sarah Morgan's comm buzzed with new intelligence. Coordinates flowed in. Dozens of locations where children remained hidden. She shared the data immediately. Teams Alpha through Gamma. New targets received. Execute simultaneous rescue operations. Throughout Nexus Prime, human forces struck facility after facility. Imperial guards receiving confusing orders about whether to fight or surrender, often chose to protect their own lives. In the deepest facility, Peter Wilson found the core of darkness. A massive laboratory filled with pods containing children in various stages of modification. Some pods were cracked open, their occupants barely breathing. Medical teams, Peter shouted. We need help here. The sight that greeted rescuers horrified even battle-hardened soldiers. Children floated in green fluid, their bodies changed in ways that made them seem almost alien. Dr. Rachel Moore, who had accompanied the ground forces, began immediate triage. These modifications are fresh, she reported. We can help many of them. Some might remain changed forever. In the final hours of battle, Emperor Kethar made a last, desperate choice. He activated the Empire's ultimate weapon, a device that could destroy Nexus Prime itself, taking millions of lives rather than face defeat. But Agent Peter Wilson had prepared for this. As the Emperor reached for the activation codes, the older Peter struck. A perfectly placed blow disabled the Emperor, without killing him. It's over, the agent said, holding Kethar at gunpoint. Surrender now and billions live. The Emperor's response came slowly, each word heavy with defeat. I. Surrender. Across the galaxy, fighting ceased within hours. Imperial forces, hearing of their leader's surrender, laid down weapons. Human ships secured strategic positions, while Councillor Vexara's loyalists worked to maintain order. 2 years after the final battle, Ambassador Daniel Wright walked through Nexus Prime's central plaza. The planet had become headquarters for the new Federated Council of Worlds, an alliance replacing the old empire. His daughter Emma, now 20, served as humanity's youngest ambassador. She had spent years helping rescued children adjust to normal life, becoming their voice in the new government. "Remember when we used to worry about nothing more exciting than trade negotiations?" Daniel asked his daughter. Emma smiled sadly. "I remember when my biggest problem was finishing homework on time, when Peter was just a classmate, not a war hero, when we believed the Empire protected us." "Do you regret how things changed?" Emma thought carefully. "I regret the suffering, the lives lost, the innocence taken from children, but not the outcome. We're stronger now, not because we can fight, but because we know we will fight for what matters." Peter Wilson approached them, now an advisor to the Council. His abilities, once forced upon him by the Empire, now served to prevent such abuses from ever happening again. He monitored other species for signs of similar programs. "The Velki system just requested human peacekeepers," Peter reported. "They remember how we fought for our children. Now they want our help stopping their own oppressors." "Will we help?" Emma asked. The Council voted yes. Peter smiled. "We learned something important. Strength builds trust, and trust builds alliances. The Empire ruled through fear. We protect through friendship." In the medical centers of Earth and other human worlds, doctors continued working miracles. Many modified children had been helped, their bodies and minds healing with advanced treatments. Some chose to keep certain improvements, using them to help others who suffered. Dr. Rachel Moore led a new research center studying the Empire's modifications. "What they did was horrible," she explained to students, "but understanding it helps us heal. Science should help people, not control them." The new galactic order wasn't perfect. Some species preferred the old empire's simplicity. Some humans grew pacifist again, wanting to forget the war entirely. But most understood the lesson learned at such terrible cost. Peace requires guardians. On the 5th anniversary of war's end, Luna City held its first major celebration since the conflict began. Children played in the restored parks, their laughter echoing off the dome. Parents watched carefully, some still struggling with war memories, others simply grateful. Emma Wright gave a speech to mark the occasion. 5 years ago, we learned that evil exists in the universe. We learned that good people must sometimes fight terrible battles. We learned that children are stronger than anyone imagined, that parents will do anything for their young ones, and that 7,000 years of peace meant nothing without the strength to protect it.